Welcome, listeners. This is your host, Budget Pedal Chap, here with another interview. I've got Boult Guitars, Mr. Chris Boult. Say hi.
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm all right, thanks. Just trying to keep a bulldog entertained while I'm chatting away, so you can probably hear him in the background.
Yep.
Another.
I absolutely love bulldogs. I think they are literally the best creatures. So I'll happily allow this to happen. So let's get it kicked off anyway. So Boult Guitars.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell me and the listeners some about your brand?
Yeah. So Boult Guitars. So we started in when was it? Late 2015.
Mm-hmm.
The idea about it was simple. I mean, I've been playing guitars myself for around 15 years. I've probably gone through hundreds of guitars at that point.
Yeah.
So there's a phase where you just think, why don't you start? Just specifying your own, making your own, seeing what you can actually do with it, and it just cascaded from there. It's been an experience. Where you meet some really great people out of it. You meet some fantastic artists, and it's a real honor to have them playing my instruments with my name on it.
Yeah.
Like I say, it's been 2.5 years now, and we've now just started going out there doing shows like Birmingham where we first met.
Yep.
We started talking about this podcast. It's just going from one strength to the other, and it's just making people aware. And it's really about offering an alternative. It's refreshing to see a lot of new names in the industry pop up and do different things. And it's just one of those ones where it started out as be cool to make your own guitars and have your name on guitars, and now it's gone to like the next level. So it's really good, really refreshing, and it's one of those, it's been a great experience so far. Yeah,
I mean, it seems to be making massive waves recently. I'm hearing loads and loads about Boult Guitars, and it's only getting bigger. So what's the kind of premise behind Boult Guitars?
I mean, like I said, it's about offering an alternative. Mm-hmm. And, like you saw at Birmingham, we're quite lucky enough to be able to offer, like a, not like a bespoke built guitar, but like a customized version of one of our instruments.
Yeah.
So, it's like, we work with, the biggest brands around. We can offer choices of hardware. We've got a massive range of shapes that we can offer people. And, it's one of those ones where it is really about an alternative. Some people, they've got their favorite guitars, their favorite brands. They'll never change from that, which is great. It's all that kind of stuff. But what we're really here for is to give people an option. So, it doesn't always have to be thousands and thousands of pounds. So it's one of those ones where, the people involved in the company are all musicians ourselves. We all play guitars. We all played in bands. We all got a good, basic knowledge of what we want to do.
Yeah.
So, it's one of those ones where, it is just really providing, an option.
Yeah. So
it's not going to be one.
So you're mentioning these upgrades available for your guitars. So I know that you mentioned bare knuckle quite a lot, and they're not a cheap or inferior product by any stretch of the imagination. What other upgrades do you offer on your guitars? So what other companies are you working with there?
The premise of Boult Guitars is quite simple. It's what we like to call a base and build operation.
Yeah.
So, we've got stock guitars that we carry. There's probably always around 50 to 60 stock models available where, it's ones that we've put together, and, we've picked some of our favorite hardware, or, we've picked it to be like a solid workhorse instrument. And, the base and build operation is really, you take your shape, you decide on your colors, you decide if you want binding, you choose your hardware and you choose it, and we put together, not a bespoke instrument as it were, but, just a customized version of a Boult guitar. So like I said, we work with Bare Knuckle. They've been one of my favourite brands for a long time. I've my guitars for 10 plus years. And they've always been great. But, we've got other companies. We work with Zombie Dust pickups who are quite local to us. Again, they do a similar thing where they do a lot of different ranges of pickups where you can bespoke them and you can wind them how you want them. They produce some great stuff. We also work with Seymour Duncan. We've got access to those pickups. We use Grover, Goto, Floyd Rose. We work with as many people as we can to be able to provide those options.
Yeah. So to anyone who does play guitar, there's got to be at least a couple of those brands that they will have heard of. So it's not kind of just throwing any old hardware on. You can get like you say, a solid workhorse out there.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I mean, we cater for everyone. So, we get parents coming to us asking for their kids that have never picked up a guitar before. What would be the best guitar for them? Yeah, and it's one of those ones where we're not going to say to them, "Oh, you want this £1,000 guitar with bare knuckle pickups and Goto locking tuners and this hip shot bridge and all that kind of stuff," because the customer's just not going to understand it. They don't need that just yet.
Yeah. It'll probably work out well for them, but they don't need they don't need it just yet. Yeah.
And it's one of those ones where all musicians have they've picked up their preferences over time and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They've always found something which works for them and they want to keep it, or sometimes they just want a bit of a change. Conversations on a daily basis, and we pick them up, and we can offer these alternatives and all that kind of stuff. I mean, for example, they've got a really, really good, solid reputation in the scene that they work in. A lot of the players, you can tell from the name Doomsters what they're going to do on the and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and they're a really great pickup. But they're not going to suit everyone.
Yeah, you're not going to get a blues guy playing a Doomster.
Well, you can probably give it a go and see how you get on, but it's just building up those like that knowledge base of what works for different people, and sometimes you do get it wrong, but it's one of those ones where it's just finding the right guitar for the right person at the right time that they want it, really.
Yeah.
Everyone goes through their phases of different shapes and what their favourite is, and they have guitars that they just can't put down, and it's one of those ones where it's just about finding the right guitar for them.
Oh, you're telling me.
We're very lucky with the companies that we work with.
Yeah.
You build up close working relationships with them as well.
Yeah.
So it's always good when you go to the guitar shows and you see the guys from Bare Knuckle and you see flyers and all that kind of stuff, and you all meet up, have a chat, and see what else is new out there, and see how it work out. It's one of those ones where we're just getting used to it. We don't really go to many shows or anything like that. We've only really started just doing a few this year.
Yeah.
To test the waters and see what they're about and see how we can bring a difference to them as well, because it's more important for the people that are coming to want to visit us.
Yeah, I mean the reception at the Birmingham Guitar Show, from what I saw, was really warm and welcoming to you guys. There was loads of interest.
Yeah, I mean, that was actually our very first show, and
oh wow!
Like I say, it's a bit unsure what you want to do. Do you really want to go with the massive displays and go with the graphics, all that kind of stuff, or do you just want a bit more low key and just take some guitars around there, just let people come in, sit down, and play them, just talk about them. And, Vincent, I had a chat with me called Vincent there, who flew in from Germany.
Yeah.
There's another guy that I met through Boult Guitars, and he came in to help out. He's one of these guys that's really knowledgeable. So. Oh
yeah, the other guy who was with you. Yeah, he was a cool chap.
Yeah, he's a nice guy. Like I said, it's another one of those. When we first started talking, we're just talking about guitars or that kind of stuff. Yeah. He picked up one of the gold top Caiuses that we produced last year.
Oh, nice.
And since then, he's just been a one of quite a close friend. So
Yeah.
it's one of those ones where it's one of those we really just wanted to just have a bit of a chilled out weekend, just let people come over. We were quite lucky because we were kind of like bang centre right in the middle of it, so no one really had an option to not walk past if they wanted to see everything. So we were quite lucky there.
Yeah, you were quite near the entrance, weren't you? Which meant that the footfall was absolutely brilliant for your stand. But,
yeah, and we were surrounded. We had Diodario next to us as well.
Yes, yeah.
Heister Camp were there as well. So it was a really good place to be. It was a really good weekend. For me, it wasn't about selling as many guitars as I could there.
Yeah,
it was more about just letting people try them and just letting people pick them up, feel them. Just get used to offer their opinions about what they think about it. It's just all about taking that feedback on board. Like I say, we're a company that's only been going for 2.5 years when you think about it.
Yeah.
And
so it's still really early days, isn't it? But
yeah, it is really early days, and it's one of those ones where we want to get as much feedback as we can. So we know we know that there's a lot of information out there. But it's about taking that feedback on board and how we can collate it into how we go forward in the future, and see what we're like after 3.5 and 4.5 and 5.5 years, and see where we're going.
Yeah.
So it's a learning curve. You learn something new every day, and it's a great show. We'll probably be back there again next year. We're just talking about just maybe having a bit of a different setup.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed the setup you had this time, and the guitars that you brought along had some absolutely amazing finishes. I think
it tied in quite nicely because earlier this year we released our brand new Caius range, and they had like the blue purple fade, and you had the really vivid green burst. And,
yeah.
Those are the ones that they got a lot of attention. But like I said, we do a lot of different guitars, and there would have been a lot produced over the last couple of years. And there have been some great ones that you pick them up and you're like, oh, this one's the one for me, and then you realise that there's just an order's come through the website, and just like, fuck it.
Actually, no, this one's for someone else.
Happy that I can't keep them. So
yeah. I know what you mean. I've got a corner of my living room which is dedicated to my guitars, and the corner now kind of overflows because there's guitars stacked on top of guitars on top of guitars. I've
got 2 rooms in my house. I've got a very understanding wife, thankfully.
My missus is she should have killed me by now, to be honest, with the amount of times I just come back and like, oh, I've got another one, or I've got a new amp today. But yeah,
how many? 16. Yeah.
I mean, just God bless understanding partners, eh?
Even Laura comes in, she see a guitar, and she was like, wow, that looks awesome. And it's just and that for me is she knows a lot more about guitars now than she did 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But she's still not, so it's when you see, you get that kind of reaction, you're like, yeah, it's a good thing, isn't it? So
yeah, it's the encouragement you need, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great to have a bit of support and a bit of encouragement. And I'm not entirely sure if it was fuck ugly that should say the same thing. We've produced some really vivid finishes. I mean, I don't know if you saw it last week. We done the hot pink troglodyte with the black racing stripe down it.
No.
Yeah, that was one of my personal favourites.
Yeah, it's just so
we do some
outlandish and gaudy.
I mean, we do some, quite, like you say, vivid finishes, and but
you do,
they catch the eye.
Yeah,
the most important thing.
I mean, at the stand, I got to play the purple blue fade Chaos, but there was a resistor that was gold top, I believe, and there was an Ascent in a kind of orange kind of burst-ish look.
Yeah, that was the Kelly Jouet signature, the Galaxy collection.
Just before we move forward, just to kind of translate for our listeners. So these names that you've got for the body shapes, they're your take on some traditional shapes. So we've got the KS is the kind of
it's the
G style single cut, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and then you've got the Tesla, which is kind of like the super stratty kind of thing. That, you've got the Resistor, which is like the classic curve shape. You've got loads of different ones. It's all available on the website. All the different ranges and that kind of stuff. But the Ascent, which is the typical V shape, comes in a few different formats and. We have sorry, that's a dog again.
Getting excited over the Ascent there.
We've got our signature models as well, and we've got a few artists that have got signature models. They're all a classic take on. I think we've reached a stage now, personally, where everyone's got a preference on the guitar shape. Yeah, and you produce something new, everyone else is just like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, it's kind of like, the world doesn't do that yet, and you're just like...
Yeah, the guitar community are very resistant to change, aren't they?
It's like I say, I mean, it's the same in pretty much most industries where, you've reached a peak now of what you can produce in a different shape, and while you can do it, in some cases, it's best not to. Any way I can describe it, some of the concepts that I've thought of over the last couple of years, and be like, yeah, we can do this, and it's like, and you speak to the artists and all that kind of stuff, and you're like, no, I can't do this.
Really, they start quoting Jeff Goldblum at you from Jurassic Park.
Yeah, it's and like I say, I mean, I'm lucky enough to work with a few guys. I trust implicitly. I mean, I've got a tech that works for me called Rob. He's been doing tech work for 25 years. He's a great guy. He's played it all, seen it all. All that kind of stuff. He's a good sounding board. For me and. A really great guy to have locally around to speak to and to give a help. And you're often find us on Saturday mornings, just in the workshop, putting final touches to things and getting things set up and just trying new things. And those ones where some it's like I say, even though it's only 2.5 years that we've been into this, it's probably too much of a beast for one guy to handle right now. And like I said, I'm really lucky that it's turned into a truly global company. But I do need help, and Rob's that guy to give me that help and support. And when it comes to trying out new shapes, he's probably the one guy that I'll go to. And if he says no, it's a no.
He's the final say. Yeah, I mean, 25 years worth of experience. He knows what's what.
Yeah, and he knows what works as well.
Yeah,
for both of us, it's kind of we're both kind of what I call a feel guy. So you pick up a guitar, and sometimes the action might be a little bit high, but on that individual guitar, it works.
Yeah,
and it's about that, just picking up that experience or that kind of stuff. I'm one of these weird guys that when I play live, I like the action as low as possible. On a certain guitar and a certain model, but give me a Caius and I like the action to be an inch from the fretboard. I just like the struggle and the fight. I just like the I like just trying to tame it, if you know what I mean. So so everyone, like I say, everyone's got their preferences, all that kind of stuff. And Rob's been a great guy helping me learn. Like I say, he's got 25 years of experience, and I'm still learning. I pick things up from him every day that I see him and speak to him, and I probably don't give him enough credit for what he's done over the last couple of years. So shout out to Rob.
Absolutely. So speaking of your experience, you were talking earlier about having like 15 years of guitar experience. But what got you into guitar and music in general to start off with? So what kind of bands and artists are we talking?
You know, I was I was probably what I'd class as a late starter.
Yeah.
When I went to secondary school, you know, you go to your induction evening and you go to the music department and they say, "Do you want lessons?" And at that stage, everybody wants to learn how to play the guitar because it's the cool thing.
Yes.
Nobody wants to pick up an accordion anymore.
No.
No, I was quite lucky. And it was around that time where, you know, when I was a young kid, you know, I mean, the first CD I bought was Britney Spears,
Nice.
because that was the thing to do at the time, I guess. But, you know, I've got an older brother who, you know, he's 4 years older than me. So when I was listening to Britney Spears, he was listening to AC/DC.
Nice.
He used to play Highway to Hell album on a vinyl. I think it was when he was just finishing up his exams. I was only just starting secondary school, and AC/DC were playing at the Milton Keynes Bowl, which is obviously we're based in Milton Keynes, and you know, we're lucky to have that incredible place where all these massive bands play.
Yeah,
I mean, he's going to watch, and I'm there with my fucking Britney Spears CD.
You've got Marshall just around the corner as well, haven't you? And Black Star headquarters.
Based in Bletchley as well. Yeah, and Black Star just down the road in Northampton. So, you know.
So, yeah, I mean, it's not a bad place to be.
You know, when I was a teenager, we had a local venue called the Pits, which was based in a leisure centre in the centre of town.
Yeah.
And you know, every weekend you had some different bands in there. You know, the first band I saw there was a Nirvana tribute band.
Nice.
And at that age, I only knew Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Yeah.
You know,
as long as they play that one, you're happy.
And they always play it last.
Yeah.
But and like I said, I mean, the first, you know, what you'd class as, you know, like your virtuoso guitarists that you see live in person, and and it completely blows you away. It was actually Tim Mills from Bare Knuckle, back in the day when he used to play an Osmosis, Ozzy Osbourne tribute band called Osmosis, and you know he had his two massive JCM stacks there.
Yeah.
You know, he had the Les Pauls, he had the Bullseyes going on, and you know, it's just like you hear it, and it's just like, wow, that's a fucking good guitar player, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And you know, and that's when you first started, you know, seeing these guys. And
Osmosis, you've mentioned that name a couple of weeks back on the podcast. I mentioned a little story. I was sitting outside a local venue, and there was an Ozzy Osbourne tribute act who were warming up, and I could hear every note that the guitarist was playing, and I'm pretty sure it was Osmosis who was playing.
Yeah, I mean they were a great,
absolutely phenomenal. Phenomenal.
I mean, it wasn't just obviously any band that's got Tim Mills as a guitarist is going to be awesome.
Yeah,
but you know, like the singer had the exact, you know, the same Ozzy Osbourne. You know, sometimes you look at tribute bands and you know, you're not surprised that they're better than the real thing. At that stage, they were better than the real thing. Yeah. And you know, it's like I say, and then you know, once you start hearing that kind of stuff, you start to develop. I mean, personal guitar hero is Richie Sambora from Bon Jovi.
Yeah, cool.
You know, I'm not ashamed to admit that. A lot of people hear Bon Jovi and cringe.
He's a bit of an unsung hero, isn't he? Sambora.
I mean, for me, I mean, you get your guys like Malmsteen who can sweep, and you get, you know, Zakk Wylde who can shred and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But for me, Sambora was always like the kind of, you know, he could do it if he wanted to, and if you see him live, he definitely can. But in the context of the band, you know, wouldn't let him. And you know, some of the tones that he's got out of the years. I mean, he's one of these guitar players that, you know, it's changed dramatically. You know, back in the '80s when he was on his Kramers and his, all that different kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Then through the 90s when he was on his Fenders and he had his signature Fender. When they made their comeback in the early 2000s, when he was, he had a Flying V and a Diesel Herbert, and when he went through the Floyd Rose guitars, it's one of those films where I think as the you get a really good appreciation and all that kind of stuff, and the man fucking wrote "Living on a Prayer," man. It's
I mean,
cool thing, isn't it?
I defy anyone not to join in with that song when you were on the lash and you just hear it come on through the PA system.
It's one of those ones that you can't help tapping your feet to and singing along to, isn't it? It's amazing how every drunk person in the world knows the words to "Living on a Prayer."
Yeah. Even the people who say, no, I hate Bon Jovi, I'm not a Bon Jovi fan, posers. Then "Living on a Prayer" comes on and they're like, whoa, we're halfway there. Yeah.
And I mean, like I say, for me, it's a bit strange. You see, I've got other favourite bands, back when I was growing up, I used to love bands like Skid Row, Europe, all the 80s bands, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But, Bon Jovi seems to be the only one still doing it on a
global
really massive scale, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
They're still selling out stadiums, and I saw Skid Row play at the pit. It's to 13 people on a Wednesday night.
Yeah.
It is credit to them for changing with the times and keeping themselves fresh and relevant. But like I say, Richie Sambora is probably my favourite guitar player, as it were. But I've got others out there. From a performance point of view, Dave Grohl. The man was made to play in massive stadiums at Glastonbury.
I've got to have massive props
favourites like Slash.
Not so long ago, I think it was the end of last week. There was a video circulating the internet of Dave Grohl pulling up a fan on stage.
The Kiss guy.
Yeah, the Kiss guy. Yeah.
It was a kid dressed in. I think it was Monkey Wrench they were playing, wasn't it?
Indeed.
That's great fun, all that kind of stuff. Like I say, I've seen the Foo Fighters a couple of times live now, and they're one of the best live bands that you'll ever see.
Yeah.
It's amazing how he started off as that guy who drums in Nirvana.
That's
and now he's
Nirvana's drummer now.
Probably the biggest rock band in the world right now. So
arguably, they are the biggest, aren't they?
It's like every time I listen to a new guitar player, there's something about them that I like and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm really liking Neil Schon from Journey. He's one of my favourites right now.
Neil Schon's a beast.
Next week it'll probably be Alexi Laiho again. So it's one of those ones where it's quite, and like I say, when you run a guitar company like this, a lot of the artists that I work with, probably play genres of really I've listened to 5 years ago, but it's like when I heard Monolord's last album after I started working with Monolord, and I heard the first track of that, and I was like, wow, this is fucking awesome. And and it's one of those ones where it's a world away from the growing up of Britney Spears and whatnot. And,
indeed.
Everyone's taste changes over time, and sometimes you find yourself having a bit of a day, and then it's back on full to the doom and all that kind of stuff. So it's one of those ones where it is constantly changing, but for me, it's always been Sambora. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter day you're having and stuff. You can put on any one of his solo albums, or the most of the Bon Jovi stuff, and it's great. So it's perfect to sing along to in the car on the way home, I guess, isn't it? So
perfect driving music. So let's touch back on some of those artists that you're working with on your roster. Just that in and of itself is kind of suggesting a level of quality for your instruments, because instruments aren't roadworthy if they're not up to the challenge. So,
Yeah.
what's the kind of feedback you've been getting from your endorsees?
Yeah, so the first true signature model we produced was the Bruiser.
Yeah.
For a guitar player from America called Jason Brown, who plays in a brand called Bruiser, which is obviously where the name comes from. And Jason's a great guy. The way that I met him was that he actually bought one of my earlier models. He saw it online, and Jason's he's a no bullshit kind of guy, as most people from Carolina are kind of things. He told me straight away. He wanted it and all that kind of stuff, and he asked for pickup uses from Zombie Dust to be installed for it. He asked for it to be set up with his fatter strings, all that kind of stuff, and a certain tuning.
Yeah.
And it got delivered, picked up, and he came back with what he thought and all that kind of stuff. And we used it a few times, and we started talking, and as an outcome from those talks, we came up with the Bruiser, which was it's that traditional shape. It's got the sleek stylings that he wanted. It's got the red
double horns,
stripes, and it's got the slim profile neck that he wanted. He wanted to keep it He wanted it to keep it sleek, modern. But Jason is a riff man. He plays the heavy stuff, and he does it better than probably anyone I've ever met. And we produced two of them, both black with either a red racing stripes or green racing stripes. They came loaded with his the Zombie Dust LSD and P90 set that he uses, amongst other things. And it's one of those ones where, like I said earlier, I've been lucky enough to meet some really amazing people through this, and Jason was one of the first that I met through this, and like I say, he's in Carolina, but we're always talking, always. We met up when I was in New York in November. He flew up and we went out and had a day where we just, went to the local guitar stores and played and chatted and all that kind of stuff while our wives were fucking bored behind us. And that was the first signature model. And, Jason not only is one hell of a guitar player, but he's actually also a graphic designer, which comes in really handy because he does all of our renderings for us as well.
Oh, cool.
So what the usual process is, and we come up with a new idea or a new signature model. Jason will get involved and we'll sit there and he'll draw it down for us, and we'll come up with a sketch or a proper drawing and all that kind of stuff, so people can actually see how it will look. And, the first one we've done that with was Kelly Jouet from Mothership. We were introduced to Kelly through Zombie Dust. He's used his signature Cosmic Slayers from Zombie Dust for a while, and that's how he heard of us. And we started talking, and he came up with this, the Galaxy Collection concept, which was like 3 guitars in different colours with different fretboard materials and all that different kind of stuff. And we were talking to him, and he mentioned that he was in the UK on tour with a couple of other bands that from the UK, and he's actually played in Milton Keynes at one of the local venues, and it's really surreal to have some guy kind of message me from Texas asking about it, and 2 weeks later he's recording videos for us. And the thing is with Kelly is that apart from being one fucking awesome guitar player, he's actually got that persona with him as well. Yeah. But as soon as he off the minivan that they were in, it was like it felt like you knew him for fucking years. Yeah. And they've also got quite a die-hard following, which is significant as well. Because when we release the renderings, what we tend to do is give people a chance to pre-order them. Yeah. So they can reserve them first of all, and we keep the prices affordable as we can. And we don't put hundreds of pounds on it because it's got someone's name that they like on it or anything like that. Yeah. And I think like half the Galaxy collections sold out within hours, if you know what I mean. It was kind of like fuck, what have we done here kind of thing. And some guy in America bought all three variations of it within minutes of it going on sale. He bought number one of all of them.
Damn.
Obviously, Kenny's got the prototypes, and
yeah,
it's one of those and people still ask for it now. You get people saying, Mothership came through town in the Netherlands, so I want his guitar, can I have it? And it's like it's really refreshing to see that there is like a new breed of guitar hero coming through, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
For a while, it was you didn't really know who was going to pick up the mantle and all that kind of stuff, and you see guys like Kenny Jouet and like Thomas Jaeger from Monolord, who again is a really different style of guitar player, but people want their stuff. People, you've got a following out there, and people want to play their instruments that their favourite guitarists play, and it's one of those ones where I keep saying I'm lucky to be able to produce it for these people, and and it is a privilege to be able to do that and all that kind of stuff. And it's a privilege that these artists, that they've played fantastic guitars before, but they want to come and play Boult guitars, and it's one of those ones where for me it's I'm always honest and upfront about it is hard work producing a signature guitar.
Yeah.
Jason probably fucking hates me when he's done like 20 drawings and it's 3 o'clock in the and all that kind of stuff, and we were asking for really subtle changes and all that kind of stuff, but it's a hard process. It does take months, if not years, to produce a signature guitar.
Yeah.
But you'll see that when we've got V2 of the Galaxy collection coming in, there will be some slight changes to it. So you might see some different hardware on it. You might see, it's like a slightly different Pantone and all that kind of stuff. And you only get this feedback once they've been taken out on the road, and like you say, give them the right, good treatment and see how they stand up. But
yeah,
Kenny Jouet plays this at every show that he plays now, and so does his brother Kyle, who also is the bassist of Mothership. And, we've introduced the bass Galaxy collection, which is like a different shape, but the same Pantones, like really real ZZ Top kind of style, if you know what I mean. And that's it's a great thing to have. And, it's one of the it's really great because, like I say, I mean, Mothership comes from Texas, and sometimes you wake up at like 4 o'clock in the morning, and like Kenny's just picked up his next guitar from USPS and he's unpacked it and he's put an Instagram post up and he's saying how much he loves it, and you've got like thousands of people liking it and sharing it and all that kind of stuff. It's a really surreal thing to wake up to in the morning. It's an incredible feeling about you've had a part to play in creating this. So
so a huge kind of personal pride and gratification for the hours and the blood, sweat and tears that you put into it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's not, like I say, I mean, I'm just happy to be able to play a part and give these great artists a conduit to let their fans have the gear that they play and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's, like I said, I mean, we are a relatively small company, so, it's not just, they get lost in the mix and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like some of the bigger brands out there will have hundreds and hundreds of artists on their roster, and we like to be accessible, and we still speak to these people as much as we can.
Yeah.
If they're in town, we'll go and meet up with them for a drink and all that kind of stuff. And what you find is that when you put guitars in the hands of these artists, they're on tour so often, and all they play shows is they love playing music.
Yeah.
They love writing music, and you get people saying like, oh, I've just seen Thomas Jaeger playing, his Boult and all that kind of stuff, and it sounds awesome and all that kind of stuff. And like I said, I mean, we're incredibly, it's an incredible feeling when you get your artists who want to play your guitars, all that kind of stuff. They want an artist that plays a Boult guitar, and I didn't think that would happen when I started doing this. I thought it must be cool to have a few guitars with my name on it.
Yeah.
And like I say, in the space of 2.5 years, it's rocketed. There's some stuff in the works which I can't really talk about right now, but
yeah, I mean, just before this podcast started, you put a post up about some new offerings, didn't you? There was some basses and some 7 strings being offered now. Yeah,
I mean, we get a lot of requests to do basses. We've always done basses. It's just that it's like I'm a guitar player.
Yeah.
I know my way around a guitar. Give me a bass, and I'm a little bit iffy still.
Yeah.
And we are further developing things, and at the very start, it was a simple 6-string electric guitar offering with 3 or 4 different shapes.
Yeah.
And last summer we brought out our first 7 strings. So we've done the 7-string resistor. We've done the 7-string troglodyte as well, which went down well. And towards the end of last year, we started working on some fan fret prototypes. I'm quite excited about, even if I can't quite figure out how it's supposed to. It's 50 years of being straight French. Why are they wonky now, kind of thing.
It's becoming the.
There's a lot of stuff in the pipeline.
Yeah,
you'll see a few new bass styles over the new coming months. You'll see a few new signature models coming out over the next couple of months. And you'll see a refinement, as it were. You might see a couple of the models, be refined a bit more further. And it's exciting times. I mean, like I say, we've been going 2.5 times now. We've got the feedback from some of our artists. We've got the feedback from when we've attended shows. And I've got a guy in America who I think has bought every model of Boult guitars that I've ever produced. He's one of those guys where I think he saw the troglodyte on Instagram and messaged me saying he had to have it. Then 2 months later, he had a Caius, and then he had Galaxy Collection. Then he had the Empress, and then he had the Blaze, which was about at the time as well. And I think he's bought about 12 or 13 now.
That's one dedicated customer right there.
Yeah. It's obviously someone who's got too much money, but again, it's he's one of these guys that's turned into a really close friend as well.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys that he's probably more informed than most about my work because he's played it all really, and it's really funny in a way because I seem to be picking up artists that he liked anyway. So he's like, I love Monolord, I love Viconis and all this kind of stuff, and I love Elephant Tree and all this kind of stuff. He's like, how are you getting all these guys? And I'm like, the thing is for me, it's just people come to me and they want to play my guitars, and it's great that you actually know them. If you know what I mean, it's like it's one of those ones where it's like I say. I mean, there's a lot in the pipeline. There's a lot of stuff that I'm really, really excited about. I want to share with people, but it's like I say, it's exciting times. It's the thing is, it's one of those ones where as a small company, there is some confusion sometimes about what we offer.
Yeah.
Like I said, the one we offer a customized version of a Boult guitar, not a custom made guitar. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
There's some things that we just can't do.
Yeah.
It's like we get requests to do all these different shapes, all these different things, all these different scales, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And the way that we manufacture, sometimes it just isn't possible.
Yeah.
Why we do everything we can to be able to offer these things, and we can offer baritones, and we can offer fan frets, and we can offer basses, and we can offer this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's just you do have to filter it out, and I'll have these random ideas, and I'll get either Rob or Jason going, now is not the time. You know, you do have to, you know, be steady and, you know, think. It sounds bad, but you do have to think of the commercial value to it as well.
Yeah. There's no point making the perfect instrument for you if no one else in the world wants it.
The world's probably, you know, reached its fill of shapes of guitars, all that kind of stuff, and
yeah,
you know, in a couple of years' time, I'll be proved wrong, and there'll be a new shape that comes.
Yeah, definitely. But like I say, the guitar community are very, very resistant to change. I mean, Gibson only like 3 years ago made it almost mandatory that they had the tuning system on their guitars, the robot tuners, and then everyone kicked up a fuss because change. Ugh.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I've always found that I'm perfectly capable of tuning a guitar.
No.
You know, I don't need them to do it themselves and all that kind of stuff. So it's one, I don't particularly want to badmouth ideas and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it is refreshing to see new ideas out there, but like I say, I mean, I have, you know, ideas, and, you know, like I say, I mean, sometimes it's best not to just share them, if you know what I mean. So, I mean, like I say, I mean, it's like you say. I mean, I personally don't think that the guitar community is to change. You know, I think that you have trends, and like I say, I mean, everyone's got their favourites, everyone's got their influences.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
You know, it's one of those things where, you know, your influences define who you are as a musician, as your genre and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I played loads of different shapes because my favourite guitar players were, you know, playing them at the time. And
you look towards your favourite guitarists, and they don't ever just play one instrument. People like Mark Knopfler, who's known for his red Strat, but he's played Les Pauls and resonators and Sirs, and so yeah, absolutely. Right, down to our $1 million question then. Out of all of your Boult guitars, which has been your favourite?
That is the $1 million question, because it changes every time I produce something new, really. What has been my favourite Boult guitar? There's a few that I've kept hold of.
I suppose that's a testament to it then, isn't it?
Yeah. You know, the ones that I play live, when I still do have the opportunities to play live, I play the Tesla RS, the one that's got a sustainer in the neck.
Yep.
It's just cheating, and you can be like Gary Moore with it.
Hells yeah.
You know, and you know, I've got a couple of Kaisers kicking around. I've got a gold top that I kept for myself. It sounds bad, but I see so many guitars that I want to keep.
Yeah.
But I just know that I can't. You know, but then again, it's like I find myself liking things that I never liked when I grew up. I never liked the Flying V style of guitar and all that kind of stuff. But you know, like Kenny Jouet's Galaxy collection is cool. You know, it's green, it's purple and blue.
Yeah, so vibrant.
They've got maple. They're just cool, and you know, you know, like I say, I mean, we've got some exciting stuff coming up.
Yeah.
My personal favourite Boult guitar that is one that I'm actually working on right now. It was like a customised version of a Kais, where it's through construction. It's got a Floyd Rose. It's got an official Floyd Rose. It's got a real sweet neck. It's going to have a sustainer in the neck. It's got a bare knuckle in the bridge.
This is almost sounding like the Neil Schon Gibson. This is. Is this leading from your Neil Schon obsession? This?
No, it's like I say. I mean, there was a guy that lives in Preston.
Okay, yeah.
Who wanted? You know, he came to me, and you know, he's one of these guys that's wanted this for ages, and he said up front, "I'm a fussy fucker, so if it's not good, you're going to hear about it." So I was like, we'll get Jason to to draw something out for you and see if we can find something that you like, because he he didn't really know what finish he wanted and all that kind of stuff. And it's just, like I say, I mean, it's going to be delivered to him within the next couple of weeks, and it's so good that I've kept more for myself as well. So
fair play. And
but it's one of those ones where, like I said, I'm lucky enough to see so many new guitars and so many new styles and models. That my favourite Boult guitar changes one a day.
That is only a good sign as well.
It's not because it's not because the new ones are any better or anything like that. Tastes
change over time, don't they? And how about your favourite guitar of all time?
My favourite guitar of all time. So some guitars that I've still got a PRS Studio.
Cool.
I bought that a few years ago now. My local music shop that also stocks Boult guitars, a PRS dealer.
Nice.
They had an event on I think it was on a Thursday night where they had Bernie Marsden come down and play a few songs and all that kind of stuff. And everyone loves Bernie. Everyone loves Uncle Bernie. I mean, he's quite a local guy, and he lives relatively close to Milton Keynes, I think.
Yeah.
So he popped down and they had a special offer on, and I'd been eyeing up this green PRS Studio for about 2 years, and I finally managed to get it that night, and it's still one of my favourite guitars I've ever played. Still got my Richie Sambora custom shop Fender.
Oh, nice.
Where it's a black paisley. Beautiful, beautiful instrument. But to me, it's more like a work of art now. I'd be dropped it or anything like that. Or but for me, I mean, what Boult guitars essentially are is it's how I would see these shapes and all that kind of stuff if I invented them.
Yeah.
So I mean, you see these things growing up, and like you hear stories about how Slash, what he actually wasn't, on Appetite for Destruction, he wasn't actually playing a Gibson. It was just it's just a guitar that had Gibson on the headstock, really. And it's like you hear these different things, and you're like I say, I mean, there's hundreds of different people who do what I do. I'm just lucky to be a part of it.
For sure.
But yeah, I mean, if as far as favourite guitars probably go, I'd probably, if I had to pick up one guitar for the rest of my life that wasn't a Boult guitar, it would probably be that custom shop Sambora model, mainly because it's just hard to play. But like I said, I mean, everyone's got their favourite shapes, everyone's got their favourite guitars, and ask me that, you probably get a different answer.
Yeah, when I was younger, I absolutely hated the Telecaster. I thought it was the ugliest thing just out, and then I now own 7 of them. So, it's what happens, isn't it?
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I didn't realise they were still in. I mean, for me, I always associated the Telecaster with Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah, the boss.
As the person who probably who I saw it with and all that kind of stuff, and obviously you see it with Stones and all that kind of stuff, and then all of a sudden, bam, Slipknot.
Like, they had a weird resurgence, didn't they? The Telecaster.
And it's a beautiful shape. And that's it. I mean, it's probably the original, isn't it? And
I've grown to love it. I think I like the honesty of the Telecaster. There's nowhere to hide, really, is there? You've got your Twang City on the bridge. You've got your blues in the neck, and pretty much nothing else in between. It's just.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, obviously it's a shape that we've produced before, and and you can do wonderful things with it. You slap a slap a Zombie Dust Doomster in the bridge pickup, for example, and you're away, aren't you? It's one of those ones where it's. I mean, one of the guys that I work with, Simon from Voconis.
Yeah.
He still uses a Fender Telecaster in the studio, I think.
Yeah.
And he plays one of the heaviest bands I've ever heard. So
yeah, I've heard that Telecasters are really, really quite prolific in metal players recording setups because they cut through like nothing else. Yeah,
and it's really weird. Obviously, you associate, you do associate certain guitars with certain genres and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like for me, for all the shreddy stuff, I just think of a Super Strat.
Yeah,
all that kind of stuff. And then you see Mountain, for example, on a Fender Strat,
playing like a classic Strat, and they're like proper like 60s 70s Strats as well, where they're an absolute bugger to play. Yeah, and the real baseball bat necks and all that kind of stuff. It's all that kind of stuff, and you associate like your real classic hard rock with a Les Paul or an SG and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, for me, one of my favourite guitar players is Malcolm Young. Yeah.
And that's just because he was literally a guitar player that I've ever fucking heard. You look at him with his Gretsch, with his one bridge pickup and all that kind of stuff, standing in front of a Marshall stack, and
it's just he's the absolute the heart of that band, isn't he? He's just thudding it out,
AC/DC are, let's face it, they're one of a kind.
They are.
And
if any other band tried to get away with writing like shitloads of albums using only the chords A, D, G, and E, they'd get slaughtered for it. But those guys nail it.
I mean, like I said, I went to go and see AC/DC a couple of years ago when they played at Wembley.
Yeah.
And and you get through the support band, and they start the video graphics and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then Angus Young played his first chord, and my ears popped.
Damn.
I'm just like, fuck, that is loud. And my ears were ringing for a week.
Yeah.
And it's just unfortunately, Malcolm wasn't there, as it were.
Oh no.
It's a horrific story to hear what happened to Malcolm and all that kind of stuff. It's like I said, I mean, AC/DC, one of the bands that I grew up with, and mainly because my brothers, their biggest fan at the time, and it's like if you ask me, probably if you ask me to have one guitar player that doesn't play Boult that you'd want to play Boult guitars, it would probably have been Angus Young.
Yeah.
Just because he is one cool fucker when he gets a guitar in his hand.
Yeah, definitely.
Who else can pull off doing those movements in a kid's uniform? And
yeah, definitely. I mean, it's just like if you describe it to someone who hasn't heard of AC/DC, they'd think you'd gone absolutely mad. He does what? He's dressed as a child, but I mean, he just oozes cool, doesn't he? That whole band.
Yeah.
Right, we're gonna wrap it up with our final question because I think we're well into the hour now. What would the one instrument shape that is out there that you wish you would have invented, and what alterations would you make to that instrument shape?
I wish I invented. It's got to be the Les Paul. It's just iconic. Like I say, I mean, the amount of artists that have played it. Going back from Les Paul himself to.
I mean, you've got Jimmy Page, you've got
Page, Slash, Gary Moore. My dad when I was a kid, the two bands that he'd listen to pretty much non-stop were Queen and Thin Lizzy. And I didn't realize at the time, obviously Queen, you've got Brian May who plays, his guitar, but then you've got Finn Lizzy who,
got two Les Pauls.
For me, it was always, like Scott Gore and Brian Robertson kind of thing. And then you had Gary Moore thrown in there.
Yeah.
Then, like, the later stage, you had
John Sykes.
You had John Sykes thrown in there as well. And
absolute beast.
And then you got guys like Zach Wilde, it's all those kind of things that, these are all like my favourite guitar players,
Yeah, have all held
it's like
that.
Sam Moore, he always plays a Les Paul live, always plays a 58 live for a few of the songs, and even guys like I said, like when I first saw Tim Mills playing, he was playing the Gibsons and all that kind of stuff. So Gibsons and pretty much anyone out there. So it's like I say, it's like I say, for me, it's pretty much the the original.
Good man.
Yeah, I mean, one of my best mates from school. I remember on a Sunday morning driving with him and his dad to go and pick up an Epiphone Les Paul.
Nice.
That he bought off eBay from Dartford, so it was going across the bridge and all that kind of stuff. And at that time, it's just a road trip out.
Yeah.
And then he bought it, and then he found out. I think he put a bare knuckle Miracle Man in the bridge pickup and all that. Just left the neck as it was, because he's only he's
nice.
He didn't want to particularly change it. He liked what he heard and he didn't want to change it. He just put it in there, and it's like after school, just playing that one Les Paul, and just a great guitar, isn't it? I mean, it's so versatile.
Yeah.
The curves on it as well. The curves look stunning.
Yeah. It is a beautiful looking guitar, isn't it? Yeah, like you say, it's almost a work of art rather than a just a guitar. So So if our listeners want to find out more about Boult guitars, where do they go to find you?
Obviously, you've got boultguitars.co.uk, where you can view all of the upcoming stuff. Obviously, we're quite, we do a lot of stuff on social media.
Yeah, your Facebook page it fills my feed with just gloriousness, and it's a wonder that I haven't spent money already. It's only a matter of time.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, it's a really powerful thing.
Yeah,
and it makes or breaks companies, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
As long as you've got like a real strong social media, so we keep a good amount of content on Facebook. On our Instagram, you'll see a lot more. We're going to be partnering with a couple of different pages on Instagram.
Yeah.
Case pieces for our artists. So you'll see a lot more of that in a couple of months. You'll see a lot more on YouTube. We don't really have much of a YouTube presence right now.
Yeah.
But we're in the process of recording demos of all of our ranges, including the stuff that's coming up. Like I mentioned earlier, like we've got a couple of twin necks, we've got basses. So you'll see that on YouTube. But I try my best to be accessible to people.
Yeah.
It's not just, like I said,
it's not just a faceless corporation, is it? It's
we do offer a personal touch, and we're all proud to be a part of it. So whether it's me or Rob or Jason or or Joel, who's the guy that I said has bought every model that I've ever produced,
nice.
It's all something that we want to shout out, and we want to be we want to be part.
Yeah, no amount of social media is gonna make it happen if the product itself isn't worth shit. And I mean, I've tried the Chaos, and it was a great guitar.
Like I said, you tried the blue fade one, but those are stunning things to look at. But like for me, that green burst one that I took to Birmingham, that some lucky kid dad bought it for him, and that was a really real special guitar, and it's just a stunning finish, and it had some came from Germany. The blades that are in there. I think the bridge output on that one was 35. No, sorry. The bridge output was 42K on that. So it was a real hot pickup. And, and the neck pickup, even though it was equally as hot, it sang and it screamed.
Yeah.
And, it's one of those ones where...
What you want from a neck pickup, that is just kind of vocal.
Yeah, well, like I say, I mean, it's one of
warmth. Yeah.
It's one of the ones that, and like I say, I mean, we to just round it off, like we talked about earlier about the brands that we work with and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's we are truly lucky to be able to reach out to these different companies and be a part of it as well. So, we've recently taken a delivery of the new bare knuckle brute force, the boot camp pickups, cool. Which we put in all of our Achaeus and Teslas right now. And, I'm constantly amazed because they're just the best pickup that I've heard in a long time. And it's just, I put them in Achaeus shape, which is quite thick bodied, all that kind of stuff. Yep. They sound absolutely amazing. I put them in a super strap Tesla and all that kind of stuff. Sound equally as amazing in there. So
just a versatile pickup.
Yeah, we're really lucky to be able to put these great stuff in our instruments, and it's like I said. I mean, it's just a bit surreal to be a part of it, really.
I mean, onwards and upwards, isn't it? It's only going to get bigger and better with you guys.
That hopefully that's the plan. And it's one of those ones where we want to keep our values at heart and all that kind of stuff. Like I said earlier, we want to be accessible. We want to talk to people. We want to shout about it and all that kind of stuff. But it's important. It's important for me to maintain that when if it does get bigger, if I am lucky enough for it to to carry on growing as how it's grown and all that kind of stuff, that it's important for me to keep these kind of things there.
Yeah.
And it's not just I'm keen to give back. So I've always said to people that play the guitars and all that kind of stuff, if you send me the content, I will use it. It's not you don't have to be Jason Brown or Kenny Jouet or Thomas Yeager or any of these more recognized names that I work with, all that kind of stuff. I mean, you can if you send me a recording or make me aware of it or put it on YouTube, tag me in it, all that kind of stuff. I'll shout about it because I'm proud that you're playing that guitar, man. And it's one of those ones where we're keen to keep that accessibility as well. So I'm always around if anyone wants to have a chat and all that kind of stuff. You're seeing it at a few more shows. So it's important to keep those values as well. So
if you are at one of these guitar shows, get a Boult guitar in your hands and see what it's all about yourselves, guys. Right, so
that's what it's all about.
Absolutely. I'm going to wrap us up there. If you want to catch us online, you go in the Fret Talk podcast group. You know this. You can catch me online at facebook.com/budgetpedalchap. You go instagram.com/budgetpedalchap. I'm on the YouTube as well. You know this, guys. This is our weekly plug. Check out Boult Guitars on Facebook. Check out the website. Keep abreast of all of the changes coming up. But yeah, so from myself, Mr. Budget Pedal Chap, from Chris at Boult Guitars, it's going to be a good night from us. Tatty bye.